In honor of the 70th anniversary of Disneyland this year, there is a new documentary that is about to be released. That documentary is called Disneyland Handcrafted. It's made by Leslie Iwerks. That's a name you probably know for a number of reasons as Disney fans. Number one, she's the granddaughter of Ub Iwerks. She's the daughter of Don Iwerks, both Disney legends who have their own incredible stories that I look forward to sharing at some point on our Diz Parchive channel. More on that at another time. But either way, you may also just know Leslie's name from the incredible documentaries she's been a part of, including but not limited to the Imagineering story. Apparently, in digging through the Disney archives in creating the Imagineering story streaming series, they also found a lot of pre-opening Disneyland footage from the 1950s. And it was said, some executives at Disney decided, well, Leslie, what you have here is probably a whole nother documentary. And they said, we should be making this, including our good friend, Jason Raker. I know he's probably watching. They said, you should be making this documentary. And so that's what has happened. And this is my honest review of Disneyland Handcrafted. So that setup, again, being all this pre-opening footage of Disneyland, and we were promised that a number of pieces of footage would be new. They'd be things we have never, as the public, been allowed to see before. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. So I don't know that you and I qualify as the public. Now, there is a level of Disney fan that, if you're watching this, you probably are like me, where we have gobbled up every piece of media possibly available to us on this earth. And in doing so, there are several pieces of pre-opening or early Disneyland media that you have seen before. Whether you watched the Sunday night shows with Walt, the Disneyland TV show, and you saw the pre-opening report or several of the other episodes that counted down to the opening of Disneyland, or you ever saw the Disneyland USA film, which is, if you haven't, it is wonderful, magnificent piece. And if you're a Disney Parks fan, it is a must watch. Now, if you watched all of those pieces and several other documentaries over time, I will tell you, you have seen a good portion of the footage in the Disneyland Handcrafted documentary. That being said, when you get to this level of fandom, it is very hard for Disney to put out things that show you things you've never seen before. And I am delighted to tell you there are several clips, several long pieces of footage in this documentary that you and I have never seen before. And in some cases, there's also uncut clips. So there's clips where you'll recognize a portion of it, but more of it has been left in the documentary. Now, as far as the style of this documentary, I really, really love it. You don't see any talking heads in this, you know, when they'll interview somebody, like the Imagineering story. You'll see them cut to an interview with someone. They'll have a nice fancy backdrop with a castle behind them, and they'll talk about, you know, Disneyland or the making of some project they worked on, and then it cuts back to the footage. They don't show anybody speaking in this. What's thoughtfully done, I love the way Leslie built a narrative through all these interviews, all these little audio clips of various, whether it be Walt Disney, Roy Disney, or any of the number of Imagineers and executives and construction people who made Disneyland happen, or just were in the room at that time. The way they're used to tell the narrative over what was originally silent construction footage is masterful. The other really cool thing is, I was kind of mad they told us this, and I almost don't want to tell it to all of you, but for the sake of the review, I'm going to. Because it was all silent footage, they had to create a soundtrack. And I don't mean a musical soundtrack. I mean they had to create sound to make it sound like you're listening to the actual clip. Now, this is beautifully done. It is masterfully done. And the sound people that worked on this did an incredible job, because it really does sound like these clips have audio for the first time ever. Now, again, you and I who've seen this footage a million times and know it's silent, you're gonna realize it. And I couldn't, the first half hour, all I kept thinking about was that the noises were fake over the film. And that's why I'm excited to rewatch the documentary again. But nonetheless, I think the way Leslie and her team took the archival footage and put a cohesive narrative through these interview clips together while never breaking away from, really truly breaking away from the construction footage or the footage we've seen on film or on TV before, is really well done. It worked out really nicely. I think, again, is this film made for you and me? It really depends how much media you've watched over time. I love it. I love that it exists. And I think for future generations and for people who are not as deep into this Disney Parks thing as us mega fans are, I think it is wonderful that this exists. I think it is so wonderfully done, and it will lay such a great foundation for the people who don't know what it took to make Disneyland a reality. So I love its existence. Is it the end-all, be-all piece of media for an already established and way too hungry Disney fan? Maybe not. But either way, I think nonetheless, we all will sit and watch it and all will enjoy it. I don't know that it'll be something we put on. It won't be one of those Disney documentaries that you watch multiple times, like The Imagineering Story, which I think even for many of us in this particular segment is something we could rewatch many, many times. But this is a wonderful way to preserve the making of Disneyland in a way that no one has done before. Of course, it all begins with the foresight of Walt Disney and the Disney Company to have the construction of Disneyland filmed and so much of it documented. Thank God that they did. It is wonderful that this footage exists, and thanks to Leslie and her team, we have it put together in a nice digestible format. Now, for us hardcore Disney fans, I want to say this much. The footage I did see that I've never seen before was worth the time. And a majority of, there's a good number of clips throughout the main body of the documentary, but the end of the documentary was when my jaw was on the floor. Now, leading up to the opening of Disneyland, there are some really fun clips we've never seen, which a lot of them include what today would be OSHA violations. So, construction workers riding on equipment they're not supposed to, or not having any sort of harnessing whatsoever while standing on, a 50 to 75 foot tall building. Things that will make you go, like you will be concerned for their well-being. Obviously, we know how it ends because no one died on the Disneyland construction site to our knowledge. But there are some moments where you're going to wince a bit at what's going on the work site. My other favorite thing is just watching everybody smoke. I love watching just everybody light up cigarettes for the whole length of this documentary. Is just people working while actively smoking. Don't do this at home, kids. The cigarettes are bad for you. But in the 1950s, people didn't know any better. We'll tell ourselves that. And it's really funny to watch. That and the OSHA violations are amazing. But the end of the documentary, when we get to the opening of Disneyland, there is footage from opening day at Disneyland that I have never seen, and I imagine most of the world has not seen, which is incredible. Because we've heard the horror story a million times of everything that went wrong that day. The ladies, their heels sunk into the pavement. The Autopia cars, there was no rail, so everyone just crashed and destroyed all the cars on the first day. They invited this many people, but several thousand more showed up with counterfeit tickets. All those things, and in the midst of a live world premiere happening on television on ABC, being filmed in the midst of all that. It's an incredible story, and we've seen some footage, but I have never seen footage that more probably accurately captures that moment. Now, having done this job for 19 years now, I have seen bad theme park days where it's overcrowded or a bunch of rides break down, or like those days where everything seems to go wrong. And we have on social media, myself and every other influencer out there, and maybe even stuff you guys have posted have gone viral at several points. We've captured what a bad park day looks like on the face of guests. I have never seen footage that looks like that from the 1950s, though, and not from the opening day of Disneyland. To see how miserable, I'm smiling about it because it's so funny and it's amazing. to see the misery of the guests on opening day and see just what a spectacular failure opening day was for real. To not just have Bob Gurr and the people that were there explain it. To see it with your own eyes is a totally different thing. To see garbage just laid out in piles across the entry and Main Street because there weren't enough garbage cans or employees to pick it up, whatever the case may have been. That was a rumor we heard for decades that now looks like it was real. And then rides not operating or being broken that day, or to see that footage, I wish there was more of it because it is amazing. And it is, for me, as a hardcore Disney Parks fan who thinks they've seen it all, it is a life highlight to see that footage, and that will stick with me forever. I will never talk about Disneyland opening day again and not think about how much of an actual disaster it was, because I now can visualize it. I don't have to imagine what it looked like. I've seen it with my own eyes. That's the magic of this documentary for those of us who are deeper in this thing than we probably should be. But overall, again, I think they did a wonderful job piecing this together. I'm glad it exists. I will certainly watch it again with my family when it's on streaming in a couple of days. If you're watching this later, it might be out already. So I'm looking forward to introducing them to it. And I think it will become essential viewing for new generations of Disney fans as they get into this fandom the same way we did. This will be one of those required viewing experiences, much like Disneyland USA and the pre-opening report and all those things were for us. This is going to be that for several generations of fans to come, and maybe in perpetuity, honestly. It's a wonderful documentary. Highly recommend you watch it, whether you err on the side of I've never seen any of those specials or footage before, so that's exciting to me, or Tom's right, I think I've seen everything, but he's excited about footage, so I guess I should give this a watch. Either side of the spectrum you're on, you need to watch Disneyland Handcrafted. You must. It is streaming on YouTube and Disney Plus as of January 22nd. Be sure to check it out. And for everything Disney Parks, keep it plugged in here at wdwnt.com and on our YouTube channels. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you have not, and we'll see you real soon.